Film has been an invention since around 1888, and it has changed dramatically since the past 100 years. In fact, I'd go as far as to say that film is one of the top 5 things that we've evolved in the past 100 years of our existence. Like how Sherlock Jr. was released in 1924, and at the same time span, only 6 years later, All Quiet on the Western Front was also released, which is just a huge dramatic change in film. And really only one lifespan later, all of a sudden, we then get Iron Man from 2008, which in turn was a huge CGI advancement, and this is just an awesome scene. I'm just gonna be honest with you, I just clean it because it's cool. What I guess I'm trying to say is, how do we get from a 2-second clip of people walking in the garden to Tom Cruise hanging off of a plane in Mission Impossible Rogue Nation, which if you haven't seen it is a really just awesome movie to watch. And then how do we go from Charlie Chaplin in the Circus from 1928, compare this quality to only 90 years later where we get Mission Impossible Fallout? I know, this is another Mission Impossible movie, blame me. How do we get to this? Well, we're going to find out in this video. This project will cover about 1888 to current day film. And we're just going to be basically reviewing current events and what led up to all these advancements in the study of film. So why don't we just go on and get on with it, shall we? The Industrial Revolution was one of the first driving forces to early film. Due to technological advancements of the time, new machines were developed at a frantic pace. One of the most famous inventors during this period was Thomas Edison. You may know Edison as that guy with the fancy bow tie, but he also invented the light bulb. He also created some early prototypes of early motion picture cameras. Another inventor name was Louis de Prince. Took inspiration to create his own camera, linked to the oldest driving film ever made, the Roundhay Garden scene. Now really, this movie kind of sucked, because the characters aren't compelling at all in any way, shape, or form. But it was the first major breakthrough to creating, actual movies, special effects, all the good stuff that we see in current day film. Oh, and just like that, it's over, and now it's playing the final countdown. Cool. A Trip to the Moon is regarded as the first successful feature-length film in 1902, even though the movie was a terrible representation of the 1969 moon landing and inspired more filmmakers to delve into longer films and early special effects. Due to Archduke Franz Ferdinand's early forced retirement due to a rare bullet and brain disease, World War I soon began in the fall of 1914, and this affected cinema drastically. World War I soon became the first documented conflict caught on film, and of course it brought cinema productions to a halt, caused multiple films to be delayed, but it also caused a lot of films to be made about the war. In America, short films like The Little American and Hearts of the World caught people's attention and brought more word to the war, And also, I just want to let you know that you may see that I am actually a German in this, but that is because I could not find any American World War I soldiers in this, or British, or French. So I'm had to be German, but I want to rephrase the Germans didn't start the conflict, and they shouldn't be blamed for World War I. And also, this is 1914, so I'm not a World War II, not a German soldier. Anyways, that was cool, and let's continue with this project, shall we? However, after the war was over, the number of movies based on World War I was staggering, with more than 17 movies released within 10 years after the war was over. Film companies were formed in the US, most importantly Hollywood, which quickly dominated not only the American film industry, but also the world. The first film stars appeared in movies such as Charlie Chaplin, Buster Keaton, and Douglas Fairbanks. Films became bigger, funnier, and significantly more popular in the Roaring '20s. Truly, nothing could go wrong for the film industry, especially when the first sound movies were developed. The first movie with sound being The Jazz Singer, being released in 1927.
Wonderful pals are always hard to find. Some folks have one, some folks have none. And I was alone for years, but fate was kind. And in the end, sent me a friend.
With the Great Depression rolling around, film industries around the world became devastated. And the people too. It kind of became like a math class when the students on their phone, everyone just wanted to break from the boredom and depression. So, they used cinema. Now you may be asking yourself, but if this is a low point in American history, how did the film industry survive? Well, if this wasn't an AP World History assignment, I'd tell you to get away from me and probably run away. But since I'm obligated to tell you why, I will. 1/3 of theaters closed during this time, and of course, budgets were lowered. The price of admissions, though, were also lowered. So while movies were on a lower budget, people showed up more, which actually helped keep the industry somehow living through the Great Depression, which is, honestly, if you think about it, a miracle. People flock to these movies, just like teenage girls flock to get a pumpkin spice latte, you could say. Also, behind me is how long I've been editing this for. That's me right there. Isn't that cool? Anyways, get back on with the video, Zach. Charlie Chaplin made people laugh with modern times in 1936. The true nature of war was shown in All Quiet on the Western Front in 1930. A giant gorilla named King Kong was unveiled on the big screen in 1933. These kind of movies kept the industry alive and breathing in the 40s. You'd be surprised, but World War II didn't really change much about film. You do see more movies acting as a kind of pro-America propaganda, such as Casablanca in 1942. We also see a lot of noir films released, which become a highlight of the 40s and 50s. Our final subject on the evolution of film shaped the industry today. The topic would have to be World War Cold, also known as the Cold War. Have you realized that a lot of movies in the 80s had Russian bad guys? Well, frankly, I did not know until I did some research. Here are 10 movies with Russian antagonists released from the 80s to now. 1. Rocky IV. 2. Red Dawn. 3. Rambo First Blood Part 2. 4. Dr. Strangelove. 5. Ice Station Zebra. 6. John Wick. 7. From Russia with Love. 8. GoldenEye. 9. Nobody. And 10. Miracle. This isn't even a thing. Cool. The 80s truly were the big jump in action movies we see today. We could partially think that for Russians for, well, being great bad guys. We don't see as many bad guys from Russia as the Cold War ended decades ago in 1991, but they still appear once in a while. Movies kept growing and growing and growing. So did globalization. Movies have always been going around the world, but now they're going around the world slightly quicker. The amount of money film companies were getting grew, and so did film budgets, creating the large-scale films you see today.